This is NTV.
Good afternoon. Welcome to a 1 o'clock news update. My name is Mark Masai, and we start with some politics as a section of ANC party legislators have called on the Senate to stop divisive politics in discussing the controversial third-generation revenue sharing formula. The legislators, led by Lugari MP Ayub Savula, have said the continued delay in passing the new formula is hindering delivery of services to the counties.
Kuna umuhimu wa rasilimali katika nchi hii kugawanywa kwa usawa, kwa sababu kuna sehemu katika nchi hii ambapo wengine hawajawahi kuona tone la maji, kuona hata lami, barabara ya lami.
Since delaying disbursement of resources is affecting service delivery for mwananchi, we particularly need to point out that the current cash flow crisis will have adverse effect on how counties respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. Counties need resources to pay health workers, and nurses have declared they want to go on strike, and also run the operations of the counties.
As a clamor for more resources gathers steam in the county government, the question of accountability has arisen. A section of retired government officials are calling for stern action against governors who will not apply prudence to the usage of finances. Governors have been challenged to harness their county resources to generate more revenue for their own counties.
One man, one shilling. It is obvious what they're talking about. They're talking about the statistics of the census. We know which region of Kenya is more populated. So they want that much money to go there. No problem. But even where there is a small population, there should be enough. That particular county, the governor of that county, the leadership of that county, they should know what they need. The roads, the water system, the agriculture. Now these things, they should not cry. They have gone to school. If they haven't gone, government has got personnel to help them. They should have irrigation schemes. They should do something about the oil production in Turkana so that they cannot generate their money. We copied American system in devolution. Each county in America runs on its own. Texas has a lot of oil. They sell that oil. If you go to a country like Iowa where they grow maize, they sell that maize.
We'll be getting to the latest on this revenue sharing formula and the stalemate at the moment, as Vincent Odori is at a function where the Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, among others, are set to speak. And right now we will, however, be going to the wild with Ruth Sarmwe, who is standing by in the Mara, and a lot of expectation was especially of action from the Mara this period of time. What's going on in terms of reviving and bringing back tourism activity there?
All right, just a day after the tourism CS Najib Balala put in place the strategy for the recovery plan of lions and spotted hyenas. The Mara today is having a lot of activities with local tourists, and as well as international tourists have come to visit this place. The tourism CS, however, urge the local communities living around the Mara to be involved in conserving the ecosystem to ensure it's taken care of very well. As well as the tourism CS also said that he's planning to compensate victims of human-wildlife conflict in this region. And he promised, he said so far 120 million shillings has been given to compensate families that their kin died from human-wildlife conflict. Also, 10.7 million Kenya shillings was given to compensate victims who've been injured by human-wildlife conflicts. The tourism guides, however, are asking the government to support them during this season because they are at the on the front line while handling individuals coming from different regions in the country, different countries, just a few days after the airspace was opened for the tourism sector. And we understand how the tourism industry plays an important role in bringing revenues for the country. So the tour guides are really asking the government to provide with them some of the protective gears and also involve them in the activities that are happening in the Mara, such as research, because they have in-depth knowledge of what is really happening in this area. So we are going to bring you more about what is happening in the Mara and things revolving the tourism industry. So back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Ruth Sarmoy, for that. And as they try to revive, today we remember a dark day in Kenya and in the region as it marks 22 years since the U.S. Embassy was bombed in Nairobi, killing more than 200 people and injuring thousands. Masterminded by Al-Qaeda, 2 trucks filled with explosives drove into the Nairobi U.S. Embassy at exactly 10:30 a.m., forced themselves past the gate before detonating. Minutes later, a second truck bomb exploded outside the U.S. Embassy in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, causing extensive damage to the building. As a result, many Kenyans and foreigners were directly affected. 242 people died in total, whilst over 5,000 were injured. The bombings claimed by Al-Qaeda would, as a result, introduce the world to the terrorist organization led by criminal mastermind Osama bin Laden. The bombing was Kenya's first major terrorist attack. And Anita Nkonge is working on that story as we remember this dark day and see perhaps some of the people and how they're moving forward, hard as it might be. Activities have been suspended at the Kerio Valley Development Authority Plaza in Eldoret, which houses various government institutions in the North Rift, to pave way for fumigation after an undisclosed number of staff from the Attorney General's Office and Directorate of Public Prosecution tested positive for COVID-19. Gabriel Kudaka with the details.
The Plaza in Eldoret houses various government institutions, but staff members have been officially told to keep off the premises for fumigation. This was after some staff members tested positive for COVID-19. As a precautionary measure, the University of Eldoret is leading fumigation at other essential service provision points, such as the police station and the Huduma Center.
Actually, we receive around an average of 700 to 800 people per day, which are seeking various services. Challenge we have been having is that even when we have given the marks where they should stand for social distance, at times, human beings, we seem to disobey.
It's an initiative that we have conducted in areas that have high population, including the police station, the Huduma Center, and we'll also do another one at the prison's place.
Meanwhile, Uasin Gishu Governor Jackson Mandago has called on the Senate and the Treasury to unlock the stalemate and fasten the process of releasing funds to the counties.
Huwezi tuambia watu waende wapambane na corona na wajalipa rent. Ninyi mnatupatia stress bwana. Hawa wafanyakazi wakigoma, wewe unataka niende niwaambie nini? Na watu ya national government wamelipa mshahara. Kwani pesa ya national government ya kulipa mshahara ilitoka wapi? Ya kulipa counties ilikuwa mawapi?
Gabriel Kudaka, NTV.
Children living in Mukuru area of Nairobi are making good use, if we could call it that, of a water body in the area, enjoying the fun it presents. The COVID-19 pandemic has halted a lot of activities, among them schooling, leaving many to be creative in finding ways of occupying their time. These children are no exception, as they make lemonade, if we could call it that, from the stagnated, filthy waters.
Necessity, they say, is the mother of invention. The presence of this water body in Nairobi's Mukuru area pumped the creative juices of the local children. While many may see the water as unsanitary, they see it as a recreational facility.
Hapa watoto huja wengi. Kwa siku moja watoto wanaweza kuja hapa zaidi ya 100. Wanaoga wakienda. Ukija hapa hata saa 2 asubuhi utapata watoto wako hapa wanaoga. Na hii ni maji ambayo ilikuwa ya mvua wakati fulani ikabaki hapa. Hii ni kama construction site.
The source of the water seems to be of no concern for these children, nor the danger the water presents.
Ukiangalia hii maji ni ile maji ambayo iko contaminated. Na pia hata mtoto pengine anaweza zama.
The locals believe that nearby schools with swimming facilities should open the doors, albeit cautiously, to children who are reeling in boredom at home.
Ratiba ama mpangilio kuwekwa ile ya kutosha. Watoto wanaweza jivinjari pale kwa ile swimming pool ambayo iko pale MCC. Utaweka mikakati ambayo itaingiana na ile mambo ambayo tunapambana nayo ambayo ni COVID, na watoto waweze kuingia kulingana ile mpangilio ambayo itakuwa imewekwa.
Until then, this former construction site turned swimming pool will have to do. Charity Mwangi, NTV.
City lawyer Ahmed Nasir has recently been given an award of 750,000 compensation for the damage his Bentley car got a few days ago when he was traveling back from Arusha on the busy Namanga Road, Namanga-Nairobi highway. And now, Seth Olale, I don't believe he's gotten any compensation for damages to his car, but he's joining us from the Nairobi-Nakuru highway, a section of it that is under construction, to see the status quo there. Seth, this was quite something, and it is setting a precedent, and we'll see whether people start claiming damages from the KENHA, the Highways Authority.
Yes, Mark, and you mentioned 750,000 shillings. Mark, I'm sure maybe this particular amount could be more worthy than your car, but of course that is for another matter, Mark. 750,000, but what's important is that, Mark, remember that the senior lawyer did say that the road had no signage, and we just did a spot check, or rather, we're here along the Nairobi-Nakuru major highway, just inspecting if, the road signs are, visible enough. And also that the issue also about the maintenance of the roads while still under construction. Things to do with watering these particular roads to enable that the level of dust is so minimal and that it has no health implication on motorists and pedestrians. This is a spot check we're doing along this major project that is expected, to finish in the coming years. But that's the most important thing. We're checking whether the constructors that are working on some of these major projects are actually adhering to the laid down rules and protocols in order to safeguard, of course, the safety of both pedestrians and motorists. And this is a story that is coming up in our subsequent bulletins, Mark. But hey, Kenyans really raised issues regarding the amount of compensation. I'm talking about 750,000 shillings. That is actually way above, Mark Masai's small VIT. But that is a story for another day. Back to you, Mark.
It does seem that you've forgotten your humble beginnings with the Paso, Mr. Seth. But anyway, as God blesses you, continue to prosper. That does definitely cost way more than the first car I had, and quite close to the one I have right now. And I wouldn't mind that award, of course, to buy something else if the need be. But anyway, we'll be getting more from Seth Olale, and I won't say what car he drives at the moment. Past that right now. Let's go to the coast region where the Commissioner, John Elungata, has ordered the immediate reopening of health facilities in Lamu County that have remained closed since 2014 following suspected Al-Shabaab activities. Kevin Mutai with that story and others making headlines in the coastal region.
5 areas where the health facilities had been closed as a result of insecurity in Lamu West include Baragoni, Mangai, Milimani and Bodei. Speaking while inspecting the ongoing National Hygiene Program, Regional Commissioner John Elungata said that the national government is ready to commit resources towards reopening of the hospitals Elungata maintained that the move will also help in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic.
Kwa wakati huu wa COVID, labda kuna watu wetu wanaumia kule ndani. Tuwapeleke madaktari huko, tutawachunga. Kama vile tulisema tutachunga walimu, hata madaktari tutawachunga on a 24-hour basis. So tafadhali tusaidiane. Ili tukimaliza hii COVID-19 huku sehemu za mijini, hata mashambani iwe imemalizika.
In Diani Kwale County, angry protesters blocked the Ukunda-Likoni road, demonstrating against what they termed as negligence from the Kenya Power officials. The protests came barely a week after a woman and her 3-month-old son were electrocuted in Kombani. They presented a petition demanding action against the officers who were on duty and at the same time seeking compensation for the affected family.
Juzi wakaua mama na mtoto. Tunataka Kenya Power na Kenya nzima kwa jumla waangalie hili tatizo.
Tunasema kuwe na reshuffle kali sana na mambo yachukuliwe hatua. Tunataka wale wachukuliwe hatua wale walikuwa in charge.
Youth in Mombasa are calling for more representation and inclusion in matters governance as well as policy making. This featured prominently during the launch of Mombasa International Youth Week under the theme Engagement of Youth for Global Action. The county government vowed to promote dialogue in all sub-counties to discuss aspects that will lead to resolutions.
Tumechukua celebration ya wiki hii kuweza kukutana na vikundi vya vijana, waweze kutueleza ni maswala gani ambayo wanataka yawe katika sera hii ambayo tunatengeza, ili uhusiano wa serikali, private sector na vijana uwe uko na mwelekeo na una laini kabisa, ukuwe well structured.
Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Private investors have been invited to invest in sugar farming and production in Tana Delta. According to the managing director of the Tana and Athi River Development Authority, Stephen Gedega, Tarda had set aside 22,000 hectares of land at the Tana Delta irrigation project in Garsen area of Tana River County that can yield more than 400,000 tons of sugar every year. He also said that Garsen is perfect for sugarcane production because the cane will mature in 11 months, unlike the Western Kenya belt where sugarcane matures in about 18 months. Production cost per acre in Garsen is also lower at about 30,000 shillings. Former President Mwai Kibaki launched a 100-acre demonstration farm in the area on October 2004, but the project failed after investors shied away due to community conflict.
That we are importing sugar in tune of 400,000 metric tons. It requires only 20,000 hectares to produce that sugar here. And then we do away with the import. So our plan is to do sugarcane growing, and not ourselves, but we would want to release it to the private sector. People who have the ability and the know-how and the long experience in the sugarcane production.
Tunahitaji hii shamba zifufuliwe, lakini ufufuliwe kwa mpangilio wa wakaji hapa. Tuulizwe maoni, ikianza kufufua sehemu hii ifufuliwe, lakini sehemu ya Delta ambapo barabara pande hii ziwachiliwe wafugaji.
As the county government hurried to meet the target set by the Ministry of Health in terms of ICU beds in preparation to face COVID-19, young people across the country are building the beds making the beds hoping to catch the eye of the county governments to buy the beds. In Voi, Taita Taveta County, 2 young women have put their innovation to use and built some ICU beds. Bill Otieno has their story.
The workshop is flurry of activities. Here, bending metal and molding it is the order of the day. This is an ICU bed that has been built here. The state-of-the-art bed was built by 2 young ladies, one of them being Rosalia Sambuli. She works in this workshop as a technician, and this ICU bed is one of her favorite. The women say the bed is built with COVID-19 in mind and is fitted with a sensor that detects someone from 1.5 meters away to encourage physical distancing.
Sensa inakumbusha mwenye amekuja kuona huyu mgonjwa kama ameathirika na corona. So wakifika 1 meter apart inamkumbusha kwamba anafaa akae mita moja ndo kabla afikie yule mgonjwa.
Each bed takes 5 days to build.
Niko na wenzangu pia tunaweza saidiana, so najua tukiwa wengi pia tunaweza fanya kazi kwa haraka zaidi. Kazi badala ya serikali yetu wakanunue kitanda huko mbali, afadhali waje, yani wanaweza tu promote. Tunaweza tengeneza sisi hapa karibu, wasichukue huko mbali.
Since the arrival of COVID-19 in Kenya, each county have been challenged to at least have 300 ICU beds exclusively for COVID-19 patients. While many counties have met the target, some are still struggling. Bill Otieno, NTV, Taita Taveta.
Before we take a break, let's look at some politics. The Kenya African National Union KANU party has elected new officials in Mombasa as it lays new strategies ahead of the 2022 general elections. Rukia Rashid, who is the branch chairperson, says that the party will soon be ready to receive members who will vie for different positions using KANU tickets.
Even for the referendum and so many other things, hata sisi wenyewe tunataka pia kuwa na visibility, tujulikane tuko hapo. Lakini sana sana ni preparation ya 2022.
Let's take a break on NTV at 1. I'll be back with a bit more on the revenue sharing stalemate to the counties and what they have to say. There's a development there. We're expecting a live press briefing on that with Vincent Odwor. He's standing by, but also sports at the other side of this break.
Introducing Ndovu Home Baking Flour and Ndovu Maize Meal, now in an attractive new packaging. Ndovu flours are fortified with vitamins and minerals to provide wholesome goodness for the whole family. Milled from a blend of the finest wheat, Ndovu all-purpose flour makes the most delicious chapatis, mandazis and all other pastries. Ndovu is readily available at your nearest shop. Ndovu Tosha.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Get free access to digital learning today. For primary and secondary students, one can now access learning and revision materials that has been approved by KICD. Dial *291# and subscribe to Safaricom Digital Learning and Shupavu 291 today. Tufungue njia, elimu iendelee.
Rashes again? Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
Welcome back to a 1 o'clock news update. In a section of senators led by Elgeyo Marakwet, Senator Kipchumba Murkomen are currently addressing the nation, or giving an address at least, on the state of the revenue sharing agreement, which really hasn't been agreed on. And let's listen in.
As indicated above, shall be shared using the formula proposed by Senator Sakaja. As you well know, Senator Sakaja's formula has both the component A and component B. So it's the A component that is retaining a constant figure, which is called the base. And in his proposal, the base is 316 billion. We have agreed to negotiate the base to be between 250 and 270 billion. And once we agree on that figure, then whatever will be over and above up to the 316 that is already passed in the division of revenue will be loaded to Senator Sakaja's proposal as it is on the part of component B. And I'm sure those who've been following this story already know what it is. It looks a bit more like mathematical complexity, but once you run the figures, you easily understand how it works. Towards finding a final solution, we have mandated Senator Sakaja to work with Senator Linturi in consultation with other colleagues to ensure that they ban the midnight oil and give us the final document or on before 10th August 2020. Both senators will agree on how to co-sponsor the approved version. We believe that the proposed solution brings to an end the prolonged debate on this matter, and that on Tuesday, 11th August 2020, the Senate will pass the final version unanimously through a process of consensus.
Well, is that news of consensus on this revenue sharing formula, at least the third generation one? Well, as the Senator, Elgeyo Marakwet Senator, has said, they've given mandate with the 10th August deadline, and that's Monday. And there should be some agreement of sorts, and we'll be following that story. Vincent Odwar will be giving us the highlights to that address. Now, the Migori County continues to record, as it records new COVID-19 cases. The residents, especially those residing in town centers, have ignored the Ministry of Health's directives. It has emerged. Many are walking around without a mask while disregarding social distancing rules. The closure of markets in the county has also forced traders to find alternative business premises, with most ending up along the roads. Bernardo Juan has that story.
Well, as the government through the Ministry of Health continues to intensify the fight against the spread of COVID-19 across the country by coming up with the preventive measures, we are here at Isbania border, Kuria West constituency, where most cases of COVID-19 that have been reported here in Migori County originated from. But unfortunately, things are totally different. Along the streets, business is as usual. Traders and locals here seems to have ignored the directives given by the Ministry of Health. No washing hands, no putting on face masks, as well as observing social distancing, despite an increasing number of people contracting the virus in the region.
When you put on the mask, because you don't have the standard, you don't breathe well. So if it is something which people are not used, no, most people don't put it accordingly, and we agree we are not doing the right thing. I can't pretend that we are doing the right thing, no.
Ukweli wapo wale ambao hawezi kuosha mikono na anaingia hata kama supermarket anachukua kitu, na wengine wanaenda wanachagua vitu pale, anatoa hata zile ambazo tayari mwingine ameshika na anaiacha.
This town sits at the border of Kenya and Tanzania, families here sharing a loosely defined border with the neighboring country. On many nights, some sneak in and out of the country through the unmanned and porous borders.
You push hard through enforcing the law, and when you crack the whip, then people tend to lie low for a while. But to some extent, once people pick up 3-4 days later, they slump a little bit. So I think that's the challenge. People are not consistent.
Migori, baadhi ambao wana keep distance ni wachache ambao pengine hawajaelimishwa, kwa sababu hata soko la Migori tayari ilikuwa imeshafungwa. Lakini bado kuna wale ambao wanaona tu ni jambo la kawaida.
We do more of contact tracing right now because we are now looking for people who are contacts of people who came from across the border.
3 days ago, at least 48 members of the same family tested positive for COVID-19 after one of them traveled from Nairobi to upcountry. Health CS Mutaikagwe is expected tomorrow in Migori County. Bernard Ojuang, NTV.
And just next to Migori County, we'll be having a focus in Kisii County on the COVID-19 status for the country, as the health minister, that is Mutahi Kagwe, is there and will be giving us an update shortly. We'll be crossing over live as soon as that happens. Let's visit the international scene for a bit. And Lebanese authorities have taken into custody 16 people as part of an investigation into the Beirut port warehouse explosion that shook the capital. The Lebanese government has given an investigative committee 4 days to determine responsibility for the blast. The huge blast at Beirut port has killed at least 157 people and left dozens missing and at least 5,000 wounded.
Beirut residents inspect the damage inside houses and businesses following the deadly blast in the port of the capital, which devastated entire neighborhoods. Officials say the death toll from the explosion, killing at least 157 people and injuring 5,000 others, was expected to rise as search and rescue operations continued for missing people. Lebanese rescue workers and army soldiers are struggling to remove huge items of debris in search for possible survivors at Beirut's port. The Lebanese Red Cross believes there are still 100 people missing, most of who are working at the port. Public anger is on the boil over the blast caused by a massive pile of ammonium nitrate that had for years lain in a ramshackle portside warehouse, proof to many Lebanese of the deep rot at the core of their state system. Lebanese authorities have taken into custody 16 people as part of an investigation into the port warehouse explosion that shook the capital. Amid the gloom and fury, the aftermath of the terrible explosion has also yielded countless uplifting examples of spontaneous solidarity. Business owners swiftly took to social media, posting offers to repair doors, paint damaged walls, or replace shattered windows for free. Lebanon's diaspora, believed to be nearly 3 times the country's population of 5 million, has rushed to launch fundraisers and wire money to loved ones. French President Emmanuel Macron visited shell-shocked Beirut on Thursday, pledging support for the Lebanese people, but said crisis-hit Lebanon would continue to sink unless its leaders carry out reforms. Hospitals already stretched to the brink by a spike in coronavirus cases were pushed to new limits by the influx of wounded and were forced to turn many away. Compounding their woes, Lebanon recorded 255 coronavirus cases on Thursday, its highest single-day infection tally. Lebanon has recorded 5,417 cases of COVID-19, including 68 deaths.
To something that will lighten up your mood at least. The music grows gradually, as we will see. First, a snare drum-like beat, then a throaty drone layered on top, followed by high-pitched humming, and then the monk begins to chant the Heart Sutra. I like that, Heart Sutra. This is what I'm talking about. The unique musical experience is the work of Yogetsu Akasaka, a Japanese musician and formerly trained Buddhist monk who has become a viral phenomenon with tracks marrying religious chanting with beatboxing. The idea came to him during the state of emergency imposed in Japan over the coronavirus pandemic, when both his work as a musician and a monk overseeing funeral and memorial services dried up. Akasaka has long been interested both in music and religion. He began beatboxing around 15 years ago, buying a looping machine in 2009 to help him build layered sounds, and during years spent in the United States and Australia, he occasionally bussed to make money. In Japan, it is not uncommon for monks to fulfill religious duties and maintain a non-religious career, like Akasaka's work as a musician. Recently, he has organized live streaming sessions of his music, soliciting donations to help see him through the pandemic. But he also hopes that by combing his two passions, he can offer a fresh perspective on Buddhism
but after
to younger
I
people,
started
particularly in Japan, where he says the religion is largely associated with death.
Upload some videos on YouTube, I just realized that I can just spread my my stuff not only in Japan but to like in the world. Most of them believe Buddhism is something for a person who died already, but it's actually not. So maybe if my music attracts younger people, it'll be a good opportunity for them to know about like the Buddhism.
I know it beats the purpose of talking about a beatboxer and not having to hear his work, but you can visit him online. You've seen some of the platforms that he has online for that. His name, Yogetsu Akasaka, if you want to get entertained with the monk. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump has given American firms 45 days to stop doing business with Chinese tech companies TikTok and WeChat. The escalation in the trade war with China comes as election fever begins gripping the U.S. with a general election set for November. The order to the U.S. companies came in the form of 2 executive orders that were signed by Trump. Analysts pretend that the latest move by Trump is open to legal objections. A number of people also think that Trump's quest to shut TikTok from U.S. is rooted in his disgust at the volumes of memes churned out on the platform that satirize him.
Looking at TikTok, we may be banning TikTok, we may be doing some other things. There are a couple of options, but a lot of things are happening, so we'll see what happens. But we are looking at a lot of alternatives with respect to TikTok.
All right, the pandemic in sports has delayed various activities, the London Marathon nonetheless, but it will be staged on October 4th with a unique route and only elite runners. Olympic marathon champion Eliud Kipchoge and Ethiopia's Kenenisa Bekele are expected to feature in the men's race, while world record holder Bridget Kosgei from Kenya is expected to headline the women's field. The marathon usually takes place in April, but organizers have already pushed back the 2021 event to October 3rd to maximize on the possibility of a mass race returning. Those who had planned to take part in the event, originally postponed from April 26th, have been offered the option to defer their places to the 2022, 2021, 2023 events. In 2019, the event raised a record-breaking £66.4 million for charity. Wolves reached their first European quarter-final in 48 years as Raul Jimenez's penalty earned them a 2-1 aggregate win over Olympiacos in the Europa League. The spot kick was enough to earn them a 1-0 win on the night that provided the edge. Olympiacos had what they thought was a first-half equalizer ruled out for offside. After lengthy VAR check, the Wolves will consequently face Sevilla in the last 8 after they cruised past 10-man Roma 2-0 in a one-off game played at neutral Duisburg. In other results, Bayer Leverkusen booked a date with Inter Milan in the quarterfinals after eliminating Glasgow Rangers 4-1 on aggregate, while Basel set up a clash with Shakhtar Donetsk after seeing off Frankfurt 4-0. The Champions League makes its challenge there is why Ida Waringa will be doing the sports at 9 o'clock and why she actually should be doing it now. But she decided to give me a try and have hope in this Arsenal fan. Yes, I'm back to supporting Arsenal after the FA Cup victory. And I'm called fake by my director, CK, fake new airway. And that we're done with 1 o'clock news. And yes, as soon as the address by the Ministry of Health, led by the CS Mutahi Kagwe, starts in Kisii on the status of the COVID-19 situation, we'll be bringing it to you live. In the meantime, stay safe. Have a good afternoon. I'm Mark Masai.